Your birthday comes, everyone smiles, but later you notice another line on your face, another pain in your body, another thing you cannot do as quickly as before, and a quiet question slips in. Am I becoming less valuable? Our culture says aging is something to hide, but Scripture gives it a crown. And there is one purpose God gives older believers that youth simply cannot fulfill. But before we reach that purpose, we need to be honest. Growing older can hurt. Your energy changes. Friends may pass away. The world seems to move faster while your body moves slower. The Bible never asks you to pretend those losses are easy. Ecclesiastes 12 describes aging with striking honesty. Strength fades. Eyes grow dim. Ordinary tasks become harder. God sees every part of that reality. So biblical hope is not denial. It is learning that loss does not erase your worth. And here is the first truth our youth-obsessed culture rarely understands. In Scripture, gray hair is not a mark of expiration. It is a crown. Proverbs 16:31 says, "Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life." A crown is not something you apologize for. It represents honor. It tells a story. Every gray hair says you have walked through days that younger people have never seen. You have survived prayers that seemed unanswered, losses you thought would break you, and seasons when God carried you without making noise. But this verse is sometimes misunderstood. It does not mean every older person is automatically wise, or that living longer proves someone is more righteous. Proverbs gives us a pattern of godly living, not a formula for judging people. The glory is not simply in reaching a certain birthday. The glory is in a life shaped by walking with God. Age can make a person bitter, but when age is surrendered to God, it can also produce patience, humility, courage, and compassion that cannot be rushed. Now notice what Scripture does next. It does not merely tell older people to feel honored. It commands the entire community to honor them. Leviticus 19:32 says, "You shall stand up before the gray head and honor the face of an old man, and you shall fear your God." That command connects respect for older people with reverence for God. Why? Because God cares about people whom society may overlook. Your slower steps do not make you invisible to Him. Your need for help does not make you a burden to Him. If that truth is already encouraging you, tap like. It may help this message reach someone who feels forgotten today. But perhaps you are thinking, honor sounds nice, yet my body is still wearing out. That is true. Christianity does not promise that faithful people will avoid arthritis, weakness, memory struggles, or grief. 2 Corinthians 4:16 says, "Though our outer self is wasting away, our inner self is being renewed day by day." Paul does not hide physical decline, but he refuses to treat it as the whole story. Something can weaken on the outside while something deeper becomes stronger within you. Think about what you know now that you did not know at 20. You know that many emergencies are not permanent. You know that impressive people can still be deeply broken. You know money cannot hold a family together. You know an apology can save years of regret. Most importantly, you may know that God's silence does not mean His absence. That kind of understanding is rarely learned from a book. It is formed through waiting, failing, forgiving, grieving, and beginning again. But experience alone does not become wisdom. Pain can teach you, but only if you let God meet you inside it. Otherwise, pain may simply build walls. Job 12:12 asks, "Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding?" The expected answer is yes, but the rest of Job reminds us that older voices must still remain humble before God. Real wisdom does not say, "I have seen everything." It says, "I have seen enough to know how much I still need God." And this leads to a surprising shift. Maybe the question is not, "What am I losing as I age?" Maybe the better question is, what is God forming in me that could not have existed before? You may have less speed but more patience, less certainty about yourself but more confidence in God, Fewer people to impress, but more freedom to love honestly. Youth often asks, how can I prove myself? Maturity begins asking, how can I serve someone else? So let me ask you something simple. What has age given you that youth never could? Maybe it is patience, discernment, courage, a deeper prayer life, or the ability to recognize what truly matters. Leave your answer in the comments, even if it is only one word. Someone younger may read it and receive the wisdom they desperately need. Because your story is not only about where you have been, it may become a light for someone who has not reached that road yet. But here is where many older believers quietly struggle. They assume their most useful years are behind them. Scripture says something very different. Psalm 92:14 says that the righteous still bear fruit in old age and remain full of life. Still bear fruit. Not merely remember old fruit. Not simply talk about what God did 40 years ago. Still bear fruit now. Your fruit may look different than it once did, but different does not mean smaller in God's eyes. You may not be able to travel as far, work as long, or carry as much, but you can make a phone call. You can pray with someone who is afraid. You can tell the truth about a mistake before another person repeats it. You can remind a tired parent that this hard season will pass. You can show a younger believer that faithfulness is possible across decades, not because life stays easy, but because God remains faithful. And that kind of witness cannot be created overnight. Consider Moses. He was 80 years old when God called him to confront Pharaoh. Consider Caleb. At 85, he was still ready to follow God courageously, as described in Joshua 14. Their later years were not empty waiting rooms before heaven. They were active chapters in God's work. Now, that does not mean every older believer must begin a public ministry or attempt something physically demanding. Sometimes the most powerful calling is quieter, praying, mentoring, listening, encouraging, and speaking truth with love. And perhaps the quietness is exactly what makes it powerful. Younger people are surrounded by advice. What they often lack is a trustworthy person who will listen without rushing, speak without showing off, and remain present when life becomes messy. Your greatest gift may not be having every answer. It may be the calm presence that says, I have walked through dark valleys too. God did not abandon me there, and He will not abandon you. This brings us to the purpose only older generations can fulfill. You can remember God's faithfulness across time and pass that memory forward. Psalm 71:18 says, Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation. Notice the reason the writer asks for more time. Not to chase youth again, not to prove that he is still impressive. He wants to tell the next generation what God has done. That is the calling hidden inside the crown. Your testimony may preserve someone else's faith. When a younger person believes one failure has ruined everything, you can tell them about the time God rebuilt your life. When they fear an uncertain future, you can tell them how God provided during years when you could not see the way forward. When they think prayer is useless, you can tell them about the answer that came slowly, or the peace that came when the answer did not. What you remember can become someone else's reason not to give up. So no, the crown is not perfect health, endless comfort, or freedom from grief. The crown is a life that can now point beyond itself. It is the evidence that God sustained you through changing seasons. It is wisdom softened by grace. It is faith tested by time. And it is the sacred opportunity to place what you have learned into hands that are younger than yours. Your culture may count your wrinkles. God sees the witness carried inside them. The next time a birthday makes you wonder whether your best years are gone, remember this. Fruit does not stop simply because its season changes. You are not valuable because you can still do everything you once did. You are valuable because you belong to God. And as long as He gives you breath, your prayers matter. Your presence matters. Your wisdom matters. Your story matters. The crown is not a reward for being perfect. It is an invitation to reflect God's faithfulness. Those lines on your face are not proof that God has finished with you. They may be evidence that He has carried you far enough to help someone else make it through. So wear this season without shame, receive help when you need it, offer wisdom with humility, and keep bearing the fruit God has chosen for today. If this gave you hope, subscribe so the next message can find you when you need it. Then watch the next video about what Jesus revealed concerning growing older, because one of His most comforting promises is often overlooked.